What the heck happened?
Oh, you're back.
Hi, what the heck happened? That was so weird. Hi, everybody. I don't even know what happened. I'll do it all again. Can everybody hear you? All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to your weekly coaching call. For whatever reason, that was really bizarre. And I don't know if I recorded anything. My name's Lee Honish. If you repetitive motion. Hi, everybody. If you're interested in learning more about digital marketing formulas that will get you leads or working with distressed properties, go to honish.com, click on the free one-on-one button, fill it out. David Bartels is joining me, as always, from Home Loan Advocates. They specialize in distressed properties for buyers, sellers, investors, and real estate agents. Get a hold of them at 805-413-8000. That's David at Home Loan Advocates. I know we lost me, and I did the intro twice. It's all taken care of now. And now we can move forward. David, I will give you the topic du jour before we dive back into the coaching room and let those guys ask questions. I have come to a conclusion, and I want to get your feedback on this. I have said that the phone call is the most important part of being a real estate agent. Long before you get leads, you need to get your house in order, taking calls or being face to face with people. I guess there's a few questions along the way, and I already know that you structure your day out, so we'll talk about that as well. I think the number one telltale sign for anybody listening to this, anybody in the coaching room, if you think you're not getting enough business, I would also think, tell me if I'm wrong, David, you're probably not having a lot of conversations during the day about real estate. How much of a telltale sign is that of just having healthy leads, David?
Well, if you aren't having a lot of conversations every single day with people, whether or not they're engaged in a transaction or not about real estate, then you are not building a pipeline of success. And there's no way that you can sustain a livelihood. You know, one of the things that I am really focused on now is who's your realtor. You know, everybody I talk to is I'm having a conversation with who's your realtor. And most people don't think that they have a realtor unless they're in a real estate transaction. And what I'm saying to them is that, hey, just because you're in a real estate transaction doesn't mean you don't have a realtor. I want to be your realtor. So if you have, you know, it's not a bother at all. If you have any questions about, you know, about home values, about what the value of a remodeling program, remodeling a kitchen might be in your, you know, on the future value of your house. If you want to know what your neighbor's house is selling for, if you need a referral for a handyman or a contractor or something like that, I want you to call us. We'll be happy to do that. And we have a friends and family list where my friends and family like to be kept up. We give them, you know, a valuation every few months, and we make ourselves available, give them helpful information about the market. Would it be okay if I added you to that list? And we send them a monthly newsletter. We send them every 6 months evaluation, and we call them every 6 months just to check in and see how they're doing. And what we're simply trying to do is encourage people to think about us when they have any questions or concerns about real estate. Think about this. People don't like to call you and take up your time because they know that you're straight commission based, and they don't want to waste your time or to take your time and feel like you're not getting compensated for it. But I would much rather do that than have them call a total stranger and start to rely on them. So I want to be everyone's full-time realtor, whether or not they're in a transaction or not, whether or not there's potential for them to be in a transaction or not. And I want to be having free conversations, information with obligation with people that are real estate related all day long. And whether or not that translates into a transaction today or tomorrow or 5 years from now.
Right. It becomes the age-old question, do you want a listing today or do you want a listing 6 months from today? And the answer is yes. Recurring business is the key to success. I've been harping on this, especially with the people that I personally consult with and coach. Um, I don't mean to say this with any disrespect because a couple of people are on this call. I kind of collect agents that are kind of the island of misfit toys. Is that a good description, David?
Yeah.
Where business is kind of stagnated, and I'll give away trade secrets. The first thing I tend to do with everybody, and that's why I wanted to talk about it, long before you talk about doing Monster or integrating web leads or integrating any additional services. It's funny, Sharon. Is getting people comfortable back on the phone. If you're not face to face constantly, or if you're not on the phone constantly and engaging clients, I don't know how we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, right, David? 99% of your business is free. So get to it. Start talking to people for free and start engaging them.
Well, listen, if I can get people to think about me as their realtor, as their source of everything real estate, when they end up talking to a friend who's having a conversation about buying or selling a house, who do you think they're thinking of? When they ask them a question, you're building referral machines as well. So this is a real estate has become a who you know world.
Right.
And the more people you know, and the more people who are engaging with you about matters related to real estate, you're at least going to be on the short list of people that they call. You may be the only person on the list that they call when they're thinking about doing a transaction. And you're certainly going to be somebody they refer their friends and family to if they need assistance.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think long before you start adding leads in, again, more of my trade secrets, because I do this kind of coaching and consulting, just pick up your referral list, just cycle through it, just start having conversations. Because when you start to integrate monster marketing or any form of direct marketing approach, it's not about the approach. It's not even about the face-to-face conversation. It's ultimately going to be about having the conversation after the conversation and following up, and creating the relationship alive. I'm surprised by it. You're a broker, David. So you and I have kind of had a very interesting perspective based on our time in real estate. We've watched it transition from always be closing to create a relationship.
Yeah, now it's never be closing now.
Yeah, it is an industry-wide standard. And I say this to everybody, especially since somebody asked the question. It's not about your presentation package. It's not about what you're sending out that looks printed and cool. I really think, and I could be completely wrong, David, because I'm only applying what I do for my business success, which is if I'm talking to people and I'm doing stuff for free, I get business. That's just the bottom line to it.
Listen, I couldn't agree more. Listen, this is not complicated. In fact, I'm guilty of this. I mean, I got up early this morning working on a follow-up sequence. This topic actually happens to be on my mind today because I actually wrote I'm going to pull it up here and share it with you here because I think it's really kind of appropriate. I just wrote this email as part of a nurturing campaign called Friends and Family. So where we put everybody in this friends and family category where they're just in my sphere. They're people that I know, I bump into, I meet at cocktail parties, internet leads. In other words, they're in my database, or they're in my phone list or my Facebook friends, but they may or may not be doing a transaction. And what I was doing was instead of just having this constant barrage of call to action, call to action, call to action, what I wanted to do is create something where we're just more nurturing the relationship, trying to create some engagement, encourage communication, and make myself available so that if they need help, that they will think about it. So I guess it would be appropriate to read it here, right? I'm looking
Yes,
for it
definitely.
while we talk. And I mean, it just is really designed to give people a sense of what we do. So the subject line of the email that I'm sending is called "Who is your realtor?" Okay. So, you know, what it says is, it says, "Hi, I was just thinking most people don't think about having a real estate agent unless they're engaged in a real estate transaction, but everyone should have a go-to real estate expert they can rely on for advice and referrals. Well, I'd like for you to consider me your go-to person for all things real estate related. I want to be your realtor, even when you're not doing a real estate transaction. I know you're probably not buying, selling, or renting a home anytime soon, but this is my way of letting you know that I'm always here to help you answer any questions you ever have about the local real estate market. Feel free to reach out to me if you want to know details about your house or another. You could call me if you needed a referral for a mortgage, handyman, anything that has to do with your house. Want to know the financial impact of making home improvements, or just want to borrow our moving truck, complete with straps, dolly, and blankets. Real estate is my passion, and I'm beyond happy to answer questions and assist you any way I can, whether you're planning to do a transaction in the near future or not. Who's your realtor? I am. Smiley face. Sincerely. That's the message that I'm trying to communicate to everybody in my sphere. And in my drip marketing campaign, I send this letter to them once a year. So it cycles through 3 emails that we send every 3 months. So every 4th month, every 12th month, they're going to get this email. And in between, they're going to get a home valuation every 6 months, and then a newsletter once a month that kind of just keeps them informed and is a constant reminder that I'm here and it's okay to call me. Don't worry about whether or not there's a commission for me at the end of the transaction. Just call me and let's have a conversation about real estate. And through that conversation, I can figure out if they're looking to make a move in the next 3 to 6 months, and I can figure out other ways that I might add value to the relationship that ensures when they are ready, they'll at least consider me. So what do you think about my little letter there?
I'd even go a step further with it, David.
What's that?
I love it. I love the letter. I love the script. I'd even go a step further, David, because I'm a hyper marketer. I'd go on to Sly Broadcast the first time and read that script and then drop it on everybody that I have a phone number for. I think it's a warm personal message. Why not kick it off as aggressively as possible? I say aggressive, not in a negative way. It's just very forward. Why? I could easily go onto Sly Broadcast, right, and create that exact message the first time around. Those that have phone numbers, because it's a great personal idea.
So I've got 13,100 something people in my database, right, that we've just accumulated over the years. I bet less than 5% of them I've ever had any personal contact with. So this is a nice kind of email that I can send to my entire database, regardless of where they are in the transaction. Whether or not they know me, whether or not they don't know me, or they don't. This is just a way I could send this to anybody, or we could leave a voicemail for anybody and say the same message, and we're going to get some engagement. If I was waking up today and needed to have conversations with people, if I sent this to 500 people, how many people might send me a response back, maybe call me, maybe save the email, maybe just send me a, hey, thanks, I appreciate you sending this to me. I don't know, but I'm going to find out. Ask me next week.
Well, I think you could take it a step further if you want to go. I'll insert my hardcore marketingness on this topic. If your subject line read, do you know who your realtor is, right? For those that don't know, I'll explain some quick mechanics of email marketing. It always comes down to an open rate and then what we call a click or an engagement rate. So I would assume that somewhere on there, there's an opportunity for me to click on something so I can see if there's additional engagement. But I'm also looking for people that would open a very forward subject line. Do you know who your realtor is, comma, I am? If they click and open it, I'm certainly going to set those people aside from a mathematical standpoint and hyper focus on that group. I would certainly give them more attention to people who didn't open that message, I guess is a better way to look at it. That's just good marketing.
Well, email is messy because you don't, the only thing this email is missing is a click, because, when you see an open, you don't really know if they read it or not, right? You just know that they put their cursor, over it and previewed it. And they're,
Right.
And so one of the tricks that I have been trying to do in this kind of thing, and with these kind of emails is putting some link in there
Right.
that they can click on. Now, if they open it and click on a link, I'm probably trying to call them, okay, and have a conversation with them about it. And so I haven't figured out what link I can put in that email, but one of the new tricks I've been doing is creating a clickable link. And if they open it, I don't really get too worked up about it. But if they click the link, then they go on my call list. And in the next day or two, I plan to call them and just to let them know that they were on my mind and I wanted to check in with them. And the last time we talked, you were thinking about selling the house, but it was, it kind of got postponed because of whatever notes I have in my database. And has anything changed? Are you thinking about making a move in the next 3 to 6 months? And just have a conversation, about them. And there's a pretty high probability that they'll engage based on the fact that they clicked on that link.
I completely agree with you. And for those of you wondering, because it's going to be a question, the free way to do it would be MailChimp, right? We've talked about that a million times for those of you that don't have it. And David uses Follow Up Boss. And I'll put
And I have MailChimp.
Okay.
And I have Benchmark. So
I have Benchmark, I have Zoho, I have Constant Contact, I have all of them too.
Yeah, MailChimp, if you have less than 2,000 names, it's free.
Yeah, I don't know how you can, I don't know what their model is to make this work for them. I'm sure it converts ultimately. And their list scanning is a little sketchy in my universe, but I don't know if you can beat, none of you, and I say this with all due respect, excluding David or those of you that actually have brokerages, you probably don't have 2,000 contacts, probably. So it's not that crazy a number. MailChimp is very simple. It's got CRM features. It's got squeeze pages. It's got a lot of features for a free platform that are mind-boggling. I just got an email that's doing a comparison on free CRM, so I'll be investigating that next. But David uses Follow Up Boss for everybody who's wondering. And guess what? It comes with a free trial. Mention David at checkout, and he probably gets nothing. But I just thought I'd say it out loud.
You mentioned David, they won't even know who I am.
David and I have historically not taken any deals from this. Somebody yelled at me on a webinar that I did about data that I pulled from a location, and they said, "Oh, they're shady people," or "the data was bad." I said, "I don't endorse anybody. Everybody says this, if you use it on a webinar, therefore you're endorsing it." All I can say definitively is David uses Follow Up Boss. David and I both use MailChimp, and I 100% use Sly Broadcast. Those are the three things that we use, that we continue to use. Your experience may be different. I feel like there needs to be a disclosure now
Man, I don't think
there's
it matters.
a huge following of this as a podcast now, so I'm trying to be a little more green, evergreen, as we say in the business overall. Quickly, for those of you wondering, you can get a hold of David at Home Loan Advocates. He specializes in distressed properties, 805-413-8000. His email is david@homeloanadvocates.com. You can also, if you want to learn about digital marketing success, I have a formula. The formula works. It has now successfully, definitively, every time I've used it, generated leads through Facebook. I'm very, 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 very happy with it. I'm very happy with the formula that I provide and teach people to use and that I use for my clients. Also, if you want to learn about distressed properties, monster marketing, go to honners.com. Again, just click on the free one-on-one. I believe, David believes, we profess, we teach. Have a free one-on-one with me. I'll talk to you. I'll explain to you where the breakdown is in your business and help you move along. All right, I want to talk about scheduling, David. You are a guy who gets a lot of leads and a lot of calls, and this is where I want to make the switch. For those of you that have no calls and no leads, again, go back, start with your referral list before you start adding in monster marketing. Or this is a very common thing in my universe, especially with the people I coach. I want to start doing monster marketing. I want more digital leads. No, you need to worry about the leads you currently have. Make sure you're having conversations, you're comfortable on the phone, and that you are jump started in the correct direction. Then add more direct marketing and more leads.
The Who's Your Realtor email that I just shared is a great way to, dump your phone list and your phone into MailChimp. I mean, you can text it, you can slide dial it, you can email it, and just get it out to everybody you know. Post it on your Facebook page. Lee, I need some. Can you help me? I need to figure out how to get the email addresses out of Facebook so I can send them a message. Or do I have to message everybody through Messenger?
No,
anyway, that's another call, maybe.
There is a way. There is a way. The easiest way I've found so far is ultimately by having a third party go and scrape email addresses. I don't know of any software that does it currently, but I can investigate. I will do homework. I'm sure there's somebody who's probably come up with a clever homework with an email scraping device, but I'll look into it. That's a good topic. I'll have an update next week. You'll have an update on the success of the email, and we'll compare notes.
So if I've got 5,000 Facebook friends, how do I tell them how awesome I am?
Well, I personally would have created, this is where that whole, you got to create a group, put them all into a group, invite them all into the group, and start feeding them into the group or onto the page. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult because I think nobody ever understood Facebook correctly from the beginning. And maybe only over the last few months, certainly with the current algorithm, I didn't have a full grasp of what Facebook is. Facebook is a massive marketing platform. That's all it is. It's just a marketing showcase. I know it looks like a place where you can share recipes and ideas. That's the bait to get you in, to make you a part of the system. But ultimately, that entire system, David, that entire system has only one purpose, and that is to market to very specific niche people very well. In your particular case, I'll tell you the really easy way I would do it. I would just create the post, that message as a post, and then I would target friends, right? If they've clicked a like button or they've engaged, you should have a feature in Boost to target them specifically. That would probably be the painless way to do it. At least that way it would show up on their timeline. I would also probably hire a third-party client from Upwork or one of those services to go back in and have them start just scraping emails. That's the consistent way to do it. It would also pull phone numbers from people that have those as well. But I will investigate. Maybe there is a better way to do it. I'm pretty happy with the current Facebook algorithm because once you've kind of cracked it and understood it, Facebook will generate for you. One of the most common things that I've seen right now are most people are unhappy with their current realtor. So your message is very germane to the market right now, David, actually, based on my homework, talking to the people that I coach, people that do open houses. there is a level of dissatisfaction with most people's real estate agents because most real estate agent, not you guys that are on this call or anybody listening to it, agents aren't putting in a lot of effort. They're very dissatisfied, it looks like. Or I don't know if maybe it's just an immediacy thing, David. But I sense a lot of unhappiness with current real estate agents.
Well, I think first of all, it's tougher to do, it's easy it is to do business today. It seems to be tougher to do business than ever before. At least most agents are not certain what to do to find a deal today if they need one. And, listen, I don't know how to tell people that the most important asset that they have is their database. I mean, if you change your franchise, change the commission structures, change, Zillow's in the real estate business or not in the real estate, change all the market dynamics, okay, that could make it tougher for you to do business, but leave you the database and you should be able to adapt. You should be able to, to find business. And, I think the biggest challenge, at least in California, is that everybody knows 5 real estate agents. The question is, when they're ready to do a transaction, are they going to call you or the other 4?
Yes.
And I've got agents on my team right now that don't like to promote that they're in the real estate. They're just not very good self-promoters, and they don't do it, and they wonder why they're not getting more business from their friends and even family. And so, and I can't tell you how many transactions I do with people who say, my best friend's a realtor, my uncle's a realtor, my, sister's a realtor, my brother-in-law's a realtor, but they're doing business with me.
It's very common. When I take over a client, and again, I seem to be in the business of restarting people's real estate direction, the first thing I have them do, I can't stress it enough. It's not a trade secret. It's just obvious. Go and plumb your referrals list. I'm blown away when people have not kept up with their leads or kept track of their leads. If you've been in the business for a couple of years or 20 years or 30 years, you should have a list. There's literally no excuse. I get that a lot of you did REOs or you had some kind of source. It's on you that you didn't keep up with that list. I mean, or keep generating that list. And the first thing I have everyone do, usually for the first couple of weeks, David, make calls, get on calls, have conversations. Lee, when am I getting new leads? Get on calls, make calls, get comfortable on calls. Because there's no point in adding more calls if you're not making the calls you should have been making a year ago or 2 years ago before you were in this situation. Get on calls, be on calls, have conversations. It's like a mantra. My coaching, my consulting students, the people that I work with directly, they will tell you, what's Lee's mantra? Get on calls, be on calls, do stuff for free. It's boring, it's tiring. And then you can talk about, okay, I'm going to drop an open house on Facebook. I'm going to put it into the buy-sell groups. I'm going to go out and put up monster marketing and generate new leads. You're not even having conversations. I don't even know why would anybody go out and do monster marketing if they're not going to follow up, David?
Well, why would you do any kind of marketing if you're not going to follow up?
I agree. It is the bane of my existence as a marketing professional, as a consultant, as a guy, I guess I could safely say coach now. I've got a sort of easier hand on the topic, David, but I still like to think of myself as a marketing consultant and content consultant. And I would love to say that it's all about marketing and content. It isn't. It's about a conversation. It's how many free conversations are you having in a day? I'd almost say there's a formula to it, which makes the turn. How do you handle the amount of leads you actually have, David? I mean, how do you structure your day out to handle that level of call, return call in your own business?
All right. Well, first of all, I've gotten to the point where I have help. And second, I'm only personally engaging in those people who are ready to do a transaction now or have a very high probability of doing a transaction now. And I'm having trouble getting to all those every day. So I'm kind of blessed to be busy, and but I'm busy all the time, all year round, because we never take our foot off the gas. So even, so I don't experience those up and down cycles, well, here and there, but for the most part, I don't experience those up and down cycles, where we have a good month and a bad month, and, and then we have a rebuilding month and then a good month. We're either, we vacillate between good and great, good and great, good and great. And that's really what we're trying to do. So the way that we do it is we let the technology do a lot of work. So we're using, monthly newsletters. We're using Altos data reports. We're doing home valuations for people using Cloud CMA. And then I have inside salespeople who are touching and nurturing, these leads on a periodic basis. And that's on top of the, action plans that we have going on. We don't have our inside sales agent trying to set face-to-face appointments anymore. We just have her setting phone appointments, 10-minute phone appointments. We reduce the barrier to entry. People want to have a conversation first. And we just found that it's easier to have a chat with them by phone first, figure out where they are, gauge their interest, and then figure out what the appropriate next step is to meeting with them. And we're just spend our time focusing on what's the next logical step of our relationship, and just focus on doing that. We're not going from, are you looking to buy a house in the next 3 months, and okay, let's meet so we can do our buyer agency agreement and start looking for houses. No, we're doing a more intermediate step where we're having a conversation with them about what their objective is, what's their timing, what's their motivation. Have you taken the preliminary steps? Are you talking to a lender? Bam, 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 and putting all that together. And then we're doing a consultation with them, and which is the same as we do on the listing presentation. But everything starts with a 5, 10, 15-minute phone call. And then if it makes sense, then we're meeting in person. And if it makes sense, then we're doing an agency agreement with them, purchase or buyer, or seller or buyer. And then we're out doing the rest of the things that we do to make that transaction happen.
There you go.
I don't have time to do it all, so I hire people, to do it. But when I started, I did it all, and that's what you got to do.
I completely agree with. Somebody asked me.
Do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it.
Right. This is the current bane of my existence. Somebody asked me recently, how many more clients would it take before I start? My formula is replicatable for Facebook, right? The things that I do are replicatable. How long would it take me before I hired someone out? I'm probably 1 or 2 clients away from having somebody do all the posting for me. You can't auto post on Facebook. You have to do it by hand. If that's going to be one of your lead sources, which I highly recommend if you've missed out on any of these calls or any of the broadcasts. I think that social media is just as important as having an email campaign or a Sly broadcast campaign or a monster campaign. I think they all come into play in a marketplace where you're competing with Zillow and Homes.com and everybody trying to redirect people completely. You can get a hold of David at 805-413-8000. That's homeloanadvocates.com with an S. And if you want to learn more about digital marketing solutions, monster marketing, or have me help you, and yes, you will be calling your referral list, go to Honish.com, click on the free one-on-one. We will see what we can do to get you started and help.